Jay's ironing out the YouTube.
I think I got it. Yep, there's audio now. Okay.
Al's kind of like an
Yay.
unofficial patron member.
Yeah, he brings us whiskey.
He brings us
That's
whiskey
good.
and all kinds of extra goodies.
Steak sometimes.
Steaks. Oh,
Summertime
good
steaks,
Yeah,
yes.
summer steak.
Lord. Yeah. We weren't wasted that episode.
I don't remember that episode.
That was a good time. One other thing, the only other real bit of news that I have this week, aside from what Mikey just talked about, was did I say last week that the guy from Wiggle had messaged me back?
I don't think you said it to her.
I think you
Just
said
two.
it was just pleasantries at this
Okay.
point.
He does. They do want to have us come out. Well, he's like, "What day do you guys record?" I said, "Well, usually on Tuesday." He goes, we don't do stuff on Tuesday, so we'll just have to work something out." I'm like, "No, we'll come out."
Yeah, you give us a day.
Yeah. I said, "When's a good time? We will make it happen." So I still haven't heard back from him yet after that, but we are still in works with Wiggle Whiskey
That's very exciting.
out of Pittsburgh. So we're looking
very
forward to
exciting.
that. I heard you say the Patreon.
I did do that.
We got to do coffee and Red Bull.
Did we do all the medias? Do they know?
No, they know.
Do they know?
I mean, they do.
Give
know.
it to us again.
All
I
right.
forgot.
Al forgot. All right. So we have a Facebook. We have a Twitter. We have an Instagram. We have the Patreon, which Mikey mentioned. And he also spelled it correctly, which was fantastic.
With my eyes closed.
Oh.
Really?
No.
We also have a coffee website. That is ko-fi.com. You can go on there and send us a cup of coffee. It's the equivalent of about $3 or $4. If you want some fresh swag, you want some Wednesday night whiskey gear, head over to redbubble.com. That is redbubble.com/people/wed night whiskey.
Listen to this guy.
I'm just on
Wow,
fire.
how do you do it?
It's a lot of practice. I sit in front of the mirror all night.
Oh no!
I can see it. I'm like B-U-B-B. Ah, shit.
Patroae.
No.
That's exactly what happens. Other than that, and like I said, we do have a PayPal account as well. If you feel like cutting out the middleman, you just send us a message. We will give you the information that you can send us the money directly. That's always appreciative. There's a long laundry list of things we would still like to buy for the show. So help us out. Like I said, we do appreciate that. And now, I think the moment that I've been waiting for since the text message went out. Jason, would you present this evening's whiskey?
Yes, I want to say that this evening's whiskey has been made possible by the fourth horseman himself, Mr. Alan Scarton. And I'm actually very excited. This is actually a Scotch I've never had before. Have you ever had that before, Mike?
No, I have not.
That's good. So you've got two virgins here tonight.
And you said I've had this before. You've given this to me.
Yes, during the summer. Yes.
I don't remember.
Excellent.
This will be great.
It's like having your virginity back all again.
And then having it stripped right,
Stripped right away. This evening's whiskey is Glenrothes. The Glenrothes distillery was built beside the Burn of Rothes in the Speyside region of Scotland in 1878 by James Stewart and Company, who then also worked the nearby Macallan distillery. So I thought you guys would find that interesting as a tie into the Macallan, the origins of this actually
nice.
go back to the Macallan distillery,
Aha.
people that built it. The first whiskey ran off the stills on the 28th of December, 1879, which also happened to be the same day as the Tay Bridge disaster, which was a disaster in Scotland. This distillery has some interesting history.
Ooh,
It's maybe
definitely, this is a good ghost story.
Yes. The distillery itself has had a shaky start and a checkered history. As we all know, overproof whiskey is notoriously highly flammable, and the distillery, which tends to sometimes produce overproof whiskey, has paid a price for that. A fire in December of 1897 caused serious damage. The distillery saw further damage with a serious explosion in 1903. In 1922, a fire in warehouse number 1 caused the loss of 200,000 imperial gallons, which is 910,000 liters.
Wow.
That's a lot of whiskey. Another fire in 1962 afforded the opportunity for expansion, so they made the best out of it. And a further rebuild in 1982 extended the still to now have It now has 5 wash stills and 5 spirit stills. The Glenrothes is different from many other single malts in that since 1993, the bottlings are no longer determined by age but by vintage. So they produce them in vintage batches. The Glenrothes is also sold as a select reserve, and there is a recently introduced non-vintage line. The Glenrothes is mainly matured in Spanish ex-sherry casks and some ex-bourbon casks. I believe this evening we have the sherry cask.
Yes, we
variant.
did.
Yes. Special bottlings include single cask bottles, which are taken from one single cask of whiskey from a particular year. In the late 1980s, a few years before Glenrothes Distillery decided to bottle as vintage, some casks of whiskey prior to 1974 were left to mature together. These casks were bottled as a 30-year-old Glenrothes, and only 1,134 bottles of that were produced. The character of the single malt is, as I'm sure we're about to find out, is described as a warming, mouth-coating, creamy spirit with the classic Speyside pear drop character. Thanks to its aging and production, Glenrothes whiskey is known for its spicy, rich character. And noted critic Michael Jackson, no, not that Michael Jackson, describes the house style as being perfumey, sweet, and spicy fruity as an after dinner. The Glenrothes is used in blended Scotch whiskies such as Cutty Sark and the Famous Grouse. So if you've ever had Cutty Sark or Famous Grouse, I guess you have had a little pinch of Glenrothes. And today the distillery is owned by Edrington. And that brings me to a close on the history and info section. I think we need to dig in.
Let's do it.
Yes.
Quick shot of the bottle to the viewers.
Right.
Give the sound of the bottle to the listeners.
Yeah.
What proofage is on that bottle? I was wondering about that. 40%. It's
40.
80 proof.
They don't want to burn any more barn
They don't want
stuff.
to burn anything else.
I did not know they had that tragic of a
They
history.
have.
Wow.
Or God forbid any more explosions. Nice. With a good
Nice.
cork.
I love a cork. I love me some cork.
You're a corker,
I'm a
Jay.
cork sniffer.
You're a cork sniffer
From way back.
Oh, what a nose. What a
Yeah,
nose.
nice nose.
Oh, I think I might really be excited.
There's only one thing I'm worried about.
Okay. Wait,
The,
wait. Don't give it away
Okay.
Give it away, give it away, give it away
now.
Thank you, kind sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you, kind sir.
That's what they make scotch for.
This
Gathering
bottle
of friends.
seems to pour in more of a swish and less of a glug.
Yeah, it does.
There's not much glugging
Bigger
going
bottle.
on.
It's a well-designed bottle.
It is. It is.
Well, how much was?
It's on sale right now at Fine Wine and Good Spirits. $8 off. It's normally like
Wow.
$39 or $40.
Okay.
the
So
glass nose is not the cork now.
Yeah, and I'm really getting a ginger.
Yeah.
yeah, it's a little bit spicy.
Ooh,
Ginger.
that's very reminiscent of a Macallan.
Mm-hmm. Hey,
Oh,
let's
boy.
toast to everyone.
All our patrons out.
All our
Bringing
patrons.
us some scotch.
That's
Sláinte.
right. Slanchamore.
Oh, I love that.
Chew on that.
Hmm.
I'm kind of, well, I mean, it's a space side.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we can talk more when we rate, but I'll tell you what my initial reaction is. A little strong on the perfume
Yeah.
and kind of the floral aspect of it. It's very perfumey.
Yes. It's almost like that floralness of it is giving it like a false
Mm-hmm.
smokiness. Like I'm not getting any peat or anything of it.
No,
but it seems
no,
like
no.
they're trying to make up
No.
with that
Not at all.
floral.
Mm,
It's like they're burning flowers
Just
in every
exactly.
bottle.
Yeah.
it's a vegan scotch.
It is a vegan scotch, right?
Here's my question.
Yeah.
The three of us had dirty pepper chips
Oh, that's a proven palate killer.
Yes, and
We had
that's
it
why I was
earlier.
wondering from Mike, what is your spiciness, or what is your that tonal note? Because I think ours has been affected.
Yeah, I mean, I am getting a little spiciness out of it, but not. It's more floral than spicy.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mhm.
the nose does come through with the taste of it. You are getting a little bit of that ginger flavor out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting ginger for sure.
Yeah.
Now I will say the first one that I had, it actually did have a little bit more a fruity characteristic than this one
Okay.
does. But I'll still probably go buy another one if I find one on sale.
I don't see why you shouldn't. It's tasty stuff.
I like it.
Well, it's not a Lafroig.
No, this is definitely. I mean, as far as regions go,
This is a J Scotch.
this is a J Scotch. This is straight up a J Scotch. Yes.
This is what I want
Right.
in my Scotch.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I
I'm
will
definitely
agree
more
with,
of an Islander.
Will agree with what you said. Like it's more perfume,
But you like that?
but not necessarily. Because I don't think the Macallan smells.
No,
No.
or like a
No.
Glenfiddich doesn't have that.
Right.
But, yeah.
Which Glenfiddich is another one of my more favorite.
It's a J
Scotch.
Scotch.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good Scotch. What was the really floral stuff we had at Tim's?
Tomatin.
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 Oh,
Yeah.
Tim's.
Yeah.
Tim's
That
had
was
McClellan's.
That was McClellan's.
Okay.
That was the Highland.
that-
No, I was thinking of the Tomatin.
Yeah,
though.
Yeah.
That's what I was
Tomatin was more.
that was
was
our
more
that
full.
was that was our first tasting video.
Yeah, that was like really florally.
Well, was you ready to rate this thing, or
I'm ready.
you're gonna chew on it some more?
I think you should start us off, Jay.
Well, I really, really like this, and that's no lie. Compared to the, and I'm going to say it wrong again, and Jason will correct me. The Loch Lomond,
I'm just gonna let it go. That's good.
Le Mans,
You were better the first time.
Loch Lomond.
Yes.
That was just way too much. That wasn't for me. But this is really, really up there.
What did I give Loch Lomond? Loch Lomond.
Loch Lomond.
Loch Lomond.
When was that Pinhook? That was 2 episodes ago. Loch Lomond. You gave that a 70.
Okay.
And I really, really enjoy this. I don't know that I'm not going to rate it as high as what I would rate a Macallan, because we haven't had Macallan officially on the show yet. So I think I will have to give this. Give it an 84.
Okay.
What about you, buddy?
71.
71. Any feedback on that, or are you just going straight numbers and moving on?
No, I like it better than Loch Lomond, and I think as I drink it more, I will like it. But I mean, it's not that I don't want to put this. I definitely like a lot of Speyside, and but this is starting to tend towards the Speyside that I gravitate away from, and its perfuminess. I'm not a perfumer.
Yeah.
I would probably go. What did I give the Loch Lomond?
70.
Well, he looks that up. I'll just preface this by saying that this is, for me, Scotch is number one when it comes to whiskey.
Mhm.
So I'm going to enjoy a Scotch before I enjoy a bourbon, but we're doing them on different scales.
Right.
So just because I give this a lower grade than I've given some, some bourbons, does not mean that I would prefer
That's
those
exactly
over-
how I felt.
Yeah.
I would definitely take this over many bourbons.
Yes,
Perhaps even some bourbons that I've rated higher. Than
exactly. And that's kind of what I was getting at with my rating, because I do feel that it ranks higher overall than a lot of the bourbons that we've had on the show. But as far as my personal taste when it comes with scotches, I prefer the peaty, I prefer the smoky,
this.
I prefer less floral and less spicy in the way that this is spiced. It's still fine. I would probably give it like a 60, 69, 69, 70. So give it a 69. It's close to the Loch Lomond, but
It's very similar.
yeah.
Alan.
No, this is gravitating more back towards yours.
Yes,
you like
I
this
do
stuff.
like Macallan. And now the first bottle that I had was not, when I come home, you're done with work, you want to sit down and have a dram of something. This was not that particular this wasn't that go-to. But during the summer, whenever I'd be grilling, then it would, I'd never really thought about it, but it was always more associated around food than
Mhm.
just sitting down to,
Right.
have a cigar and sit back and watch the TV. If I smoke cigars,
Right.
but I do. Yes, this is up my alley. But the first one, I will say, was slightly fruitier than this one.
Okay.
But I still do enjoy it. I give it an 82.
Cool. We already have the average. That comes in at a 74 out of 100. Do you give it a star?
I give it a star.
Mikey?
I'd still give it a star. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely give it a star as well. So that is 3 full stars from the Wednesday Night Whiskey Committee. And do we recommend this whiskey?
I would definitely recommend it for somebody that is in that like if I had this before and I was going to recommend a whiskey for you, I would definitely recommend it to you.
Yes, I would say get it soon while it's still on sale because also it's like $8
Yes,
off.
$8 off right now.
Yeah.
It's also definitely worth trying.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I
And
would.
like Jay said, this is his brand. So maybe you don't like the smoky peat. Maybe you prefer the floral.
Right.
Maybe you prefer
Right.
the space side. So
It's
yeah.
nice that we finally have, because there's a lot of unison in what we do.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I kind of you look down our rating list, you can see, like, wow, they like that. They all like that. They all like that.
Yeah.
They didn't like that.
Yes.
It's nice to finally that we're getting into.
A little bit of contention.
Yeah,
I think
and it's
we're-
not even content. It's
No, it's
just
just difference in.
yeah.
I think this will continue to be this line that we've walked this evening will continue to be a line.
Mhm.
And I think that's the beauty of Scotch, and that's why I prefer Scotch because
Right.
there's so much diversity in that island.
Can we toast the beauty of Scotch?
Let's do that.
Oh, beautiful.
Uskibeha, water of life.
Well,
Ardmore.
let's move into our standard hodgepodge discussion for the evening.
The hodgepodge.
The hodgepodge. The biggest topic that's been running back and forth through our group text box this morning and all afternoon has been the biggest piece of Witcher news this week, so to speak. Netflix tweeted today a quick, 15, 20-second sound, not even a sound clip, but just
Right.
a visual,
Screen
a
test.
screen test
Yeah.
of Henry Cavill as Geralt from the new Netflix original, The Witcher. And we all kind of had thoughts.
Before we begin that, we had other business going on last week, and I think we mentioned it, but I just want to mention it again that in Witcher News they have released the full cast.
Yes.
So I don't know if we actually had mentioned that
I don't
on
remember.
air or not.
There's no one notable. We could go
No.
through the cast list, but it's
But
not
there's
going to be
no
anybody
point.
that's like, oh, I know Christopher Walken. It's
No,
not anything
right.
like that, so.
Whoa.
Right. Christopher
Like,
Walken
guys.
as the Bloody Baron.
I mean, I'd watch it.
Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
So we'd be really interested
Garrett.
to know what your thoughts at home are if you are paying attention to The Witcher.
And it's not meant to be anything but a screen test.
Keep in mind it's a
Yeah,
screen
it's
test.
it's probably not even the final look.
It's a badly groomed wig.
I
It's
freaking
just
hope
picked
it's
up
not
off
the
the floor.
final
It
look.
is.
Yeah,
I mean,
because he's not even wearing the necklace. And I was like, "Where's the
Yeah, right.
Where's the necklace?"
Right. It looks like Legolas.
It does.
Yeah,
And that's
because
just,
my first, and I just wanted to explain to you when I said it needs more grit.
More grit.
I didn't
totally.
mean like I don't know, but
well, everything looks just right out of the box.
Yeah.
yeah, like I want like okay, where's the face stubble?
Right.
Where's the scars? Like, was his eyes orange? I really couldn't tell.
Well, they would probably do that in post.
Yeah.
Right, but still, it was just like
It's,
I wanted a little more grit on him.
It's too Star Trek and not Star Warsy enough at this point. Like, the spaceships need to look like you've traveled around in them, and right now it's fresh out of the box. Everything's
Yeah.
sterile,
And who knows where they're going to really take it? We don't know where the story's going to be. They might take
It might be
as-
really early.
Yeah, this screen test made.
Has there been any kind of announcement as to whether or not it's canon, or is
It's
it
going to
just,
follow the novels, I believe.
That's what I heard.
so? This is not a continuation after what Game 3 was.
No.
this is just
This
from the
will
start.
precede Game 3.
Yeah, this would be okay. In other kind of silly news, I mean, I know I texted you guys, but kind of up on the Snotch. I went into my local used video game store this afternoon,
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
and I was like asking my buddy that works there, Mike. I said, Mike, what were the original Witcher games released on? He said the first Witcher was PC only.
Yeah.
I guess you're not going to find it.
Right.
He said, and Witcher 2 was exclusive to Xbox 360. And I'm like, well, I have an Xbox 360. Do you have one? And he said, mm-hmm. I went, oh, I'll take it.
Well, it was also on PC as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Console wise.
yeah, console wise. So that's kind of cool. Like, I'm totally going to play them out of order, but like, I wanted to just be
You're
glad
gonna
that-
finish 3 first.
Yeah, because I've already. I mean, I just started it. Like, I'm not that deep into it. I could stop and go and play 2 first. Just don't. So I don't know. It was kind of stupid.
Are you in Velen yet?
No,
Okay.
no. I'm still doing the Griffin opening Griffin quest.
Okay.
Like, I have to go back and talk to Vesemir,
Vesemir.
and I haven't done that.
See, that one took me a while because I had to clear that entire place before I even started the Griffin quest. That's how I play those games.
I'm 100%er.
Yeah.
And you are too. You'll go through and do everything.
I'm like, I gotta go do this. Oh, I just picked up a side quest.
No, it's
Crap.
yeah, it's
Go finish that side quest.
What's
walk
that question
back.
mark over there? All right.
Yeah,
let's
what's that?
see.
Gotta go. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I'm the same way.
It's kind of cool to hear him doing it because now I know what it was like when, like people who had played Witcher 3 would be like, "Where are you at? What's going on?" Now keep in mind, there's alternate,
Right.
but it's just kind of funny now. I know like where you're at. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And it's like, yeah.
Is there anything else? Just around the table?
That's about it. I mean,
Speaking of Netflix, Jason and I were talking about it a little off
Mm.
mic, but we were talking about the Netflix show, The Haunting of Hill House, which is the Netflix original. It's kind of like a horror original series akin to. People were saying it's the best drama on Netflix since Stranger Things, so I had to check it out.
yeah, that requires to check it out.
Yeah. So, and I have watched it. My biggest gripe with it so far, I just finished the 4th episode, going into the 5th. My biggest gripe is that it is jump scares the show so far.
Yeah.
I've been told that kind of calms down, but there are some definitely eerie moments in it, and some horror, like really horror moments in it. But a lot of it, they are trying to get their scares through the jump scare, and I just don't think they need that.
Yeah, I'm one more episode deep than you were, and I'm totally on board with the same thing. I need less jump scares, and I could deal, and this is usually not my kind of thing to say, but I could deal with the story moving at a little bit of a faster clip. I think it drags a tiny bit.
Yeah.
In the initial episodes. Now, everybody who's told me to watch it, says that gets much better.
I'm looking forward to it. So I would give it a recommend right now, and like that's for me being only 5 episodes on episode 5. So.
Yeah, I think I started season 3 of Daredevil, and I'm on episode. I think I fell asleep last night watching it, so I probably got to go back an episode and a half. Because when I woke up, it was still playing. Like I hadn't hit the "Are you still here?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh crap! All right, stop.
All right. Are you continuing to
watch.
watch Daredevil?
You need more time? Shush.
Like the Sheets MTO machine.
Sheets is Christ.
Sheets is Christ. I'm telling you what, they need. If whoever's listening out there from Sheets, you guys, when on the MTO order machines, man, you got to give me more time before you start asking questions.
Yeah, I'm looking at toppings, and they're like, "Do you need more time?
Do you need
Or we
more
wanna start
time?
over? Can you get out of line? Because there's someone behind you."
Right. Yeah.
It's 3 a.m. and I want my sandwich.
Right.
Stop pestering me. There's
Right.
no one else here.
So yeah, I definitely recommend that. It's kind of an interesting route they took for season 3. It'll be interesting to know how they're going to, with the uncertainty that is that Netflix Marvel universe, what's going to happen. I don't know how they wrapped it up, if they have wrapped it up. So I'm kind of curious to see where that's going to go. But so yeah, I'm hoping that they still keep doing the show.
I think if they do any of them, Daredevil's the one that's last to go.
It's just too good.
Yeah.
Like they really, really knocked it out of the park with that series.
Yes.
And I mean, we know that Jessica Jones has been renewed for another season 3.
Right.
Punisher's getting a second season.
That one will stay a long time too.
Well, it's going to have to move a lot better than the first season moved. I had no problem with the first season, but a lot of people did.
Okay.
They didn't want stay-at-home Frank Castle. They wanted end-of-season Frank
They wanted
Castle
to
the
shoot
whole
your
way.
face off.
I was reading an article on Reddit that was which characters, it was in the Marvel Reddit, that was like, which characters can you just not see being played by another actor? And the guy that plays Matt Murdock, amazing. Not
He
Charlie
is
Cox,
great.
John Bernthal, same thing. Like, both of those people, I can't see them being replaced as their character.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on Bernthal. It's unfortunately for me, like, because the first thing I saw him in was The Walking Dead.
Shane.
It's Shane.
See,
And-
I think he's broken that for me. And he's played a couple different roles, like, what was the one? There was another movie I watched recently. He played the same kind of asshole. He was in Wind River. And initially, it was one of those things where it's like, that's Shane. But since The Punisher, I've been able to look past it.
He seems like a really cool dude.
He really does. He really does.
From interviews,
he
and
takes
stuff.
some awesome shots on Twitter with the dog.
Really?
Yeah,
I gotta
I've
follow
seen-
him.
yeah, it's good
You
stuff.
had me at dog.
Yeah.
Anything else we want to do a quick go around with before we get to the meat and potatoes?
Oh, well, I had something I wanted to bring up because, I don't get down here that often.
I was gonna
Somebody
say
called
meat.
me out, not saying it's anybody sitting to my right.
Michael.
Called me cold.
Oh,
Yeah. Whenever we were, you guys were going over the Firefly episode.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Now, yes.
Was I here for that episode?
yeah.
I don't think I partook in that episode.
Now, what I'm referring to is whenever I came, I think it was the second question, which character do you, what was the wording? Correlate to which character do you
Oh, yeah.
identify with? And I said none. Now, that happens to be because of my age.
Right.
My first character that I've ever identified with and still have, is Spock from Star Trek.
So you are a cold calculating motherfucker.
Yes, I am, but I'm not just cold. You didn't put calculating in.
just cold.
Not just cold. You didn't put calculating in there. But as far as most science fiction, most movies in general, doesn't matter.
Ice cold out.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Snape. Snape is actually, I think Snape and Spock are very similar.
Yeah.
So I also associate with Snape. But
I
as
got
far
you.
as the characters of Firefly, I love them all. But I just
I
wanted
get
to say,
you, yeah, I
it's
get
just like you called me cold, and it's like, oh man, I killed me.
I'm gonna buy him a bottle of scotch.
Yeah, we're gonna settle this like gentlemen. There we go.
We're gonna talk about this.
Yeah. I would never think of you really as. That was
That's right.
Yeah, that's not a word that springs in my mind.
That was just- that was just a bust.
Oh, it was, but it was just like, oh man. But a second thing, being whenever we were at the house at that episode, group opinion is the next, if there is a next group movie watch, would be the second edition, the remaking of Battlestar Galactica.
I have been told many times.
I-
I'm still a virgin.
I watched all the
Yeah,
first,
I've not watched.
but the second one I thought actually way
I'm
better.
definitely virginal on that. So I would,
And if you want to, I have all on
Well,
DVD. I think.
the invisible fourth member
yeah,
can institute an episode.
that's true.
He
Oh, I
does-
can?
He does have the power.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I think he
I
just
got
did.
the power.
I think he just did, right? Ice owl.
Oh wow!
Ice out.
Oh my gosh! Now that I actually it was Vitamin L back when I
Really?
This is back in the breakdancing
Vitamin
days.
owl.
Okay, there was
With the parachute pants.
What color was your tracksuit?
no, I never owned a tracksuit.
They were-
Swear to God.
Did you carry cardboard around with you, or did you?
Yeah, actually,
Parachute pants. You know he had them. He had parachute
That-
pants.
that goes clear back to high school. Yeah, thank you very much, Tim Price, if you're ever watching, fucker.
That's awesome.
If you could buy, I'm sure they sell Vitamin
That's
L.
awesome.
Yes,
Vitamin owl.
yes, it makes all things well.
That's awesome.
I have a new title for the intro.
Yeah, right.
To my right, the secret fourth member,
Vitamin owl. The frosty one.
Actually, let's just go right into our main topic discussion of the evening. That actually was brought to us by Al. He sent out a text message.
Does this show do anything that's not at the? I think you're the secret. I mean, he's actually the one running this thing.
It's
Did you see the production notes at the end of it?
Yeah, right.
and actually, I want to know how he's doing this. Al is in the room, and Al Scarton is chatting on YouTube.
Oh, they opened my laptop.
I said, hi, YouTube, Al.
Whoa.
He sent me a message, and he's like, hey, here's a topic discussion for you guys if you guys want it. And I said, well, shoot. And he said, since I don't think it was actually correlated to Halloween per se, but we saved it for Halloween because
You knew it was coming.
it makes more sense. He said, hey, do you guys have any ghost stories? And I went,
Scary stories.
scary stories, ghost stories, whatever. And I said, well, I'm sure we all do. I know we do.
Yeah, weird things that happen to you in
And
life.
he goes, well, if you guys ever do one, he goes, let me know. I have one that I'd like to share as well. And I said, okay, well, let me ask the guys. And it's a very personal subject to us, and we kind of keep it close to the chest. So we were kind of like, well, what do we really want to talk about? But I asked the guys, and they said, yeah, let's do it. So Al wanted to come down for the episode, and we said, absolutely. And then he said he was bringing scotch, and we said, well, duh.
Yeah. Well, there's always an open invitation.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to do. We did post this question on our Facebook page. And if there's anyone in the YouTube verse that is watching this right now, the podcast will hit in a few hours once it's over to the normal channels. But however, for those of you who may be tuning in, if you have any ghost stories you want to send us, you can do that. And on any of the channels that we have that I mentioned, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you got, email, send it to us.
If any of them are good enough, even though next week won't be Halloween, we can maybe read one or two.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But I do have a few from people that did respond.
Oh, cool.
However, I was really hoping for B to be one of them, and he said that he'd have to have his own show.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't offer up any. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. But no, I do have a few to read on top of what we have. So I think that'll be cool. Does anybody want to volunteer first?
I can go first.
Mikey.
Mike's volunteering.
This is so there's some backstory.
All good.
backstory.
All good ghost stories have backstory.
Yeah, so I kind of was waffling on where to start this, but I'm going to start with the paranormal occurrence, and then I will give the background. So I was in college. It was my first year at the University of Penn State and State College, so it was my second semester.
Where were you living?
It's part of the story.
Yeah.
So it took us a while to find a place, but eventually we found a place on Allen Street. So it was me, a friend of mine, and my brother ended up finding. It was actually a 2-bedroom. It was originally just 3 1-bedrooms, but they made it into a 2-bedroom apartment above a jewelry store on Allen Street. It was Arum Jewelry. I don't know if it's still there. Right beside it was a Hollister or an Abercrombie & Fitch, but it's right there on Allen Street, right across from the university. So really nice location, expensive as hell. But
Was it an apartment store place? Were they the landlords?
No,
Good for you.
no,
Anyway.
no. And so we lucked into that place. Like I said, awesome. Other than the wafting of the cologne from Abercrombie coming into the hotel or the apartment, excuse me. So really cool place. So that kind of brings us to the day. Now I don't remember exactly when it happened, but I know that it wasn't summer because we had all our windows and doors locked. Always locked our doors, and I don't believe it was winter. So I want to say it was sometime in the fall. But we were all in class. My brother, my roommate, and I were all in class. And then my roommate Dominic and I got back from class at the same time. We took the same classes together, and so we got back from class, and we were just doing our usual, like, unloading our bags and everything. I was throwing mine in the living room. He went to the bedroom and was like, dude, what the fuck? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, why are you leaving your bloody paper towels on my bed? And I was like, I swear to God, I did not leave bloody anything anywhere. That's disgusting.
Oh, yeah.
And so I went into his room, and on his bed there was a fistful of looked like fresh blood on paper towels, and they were just strewn across his bed. And we were just like, we got fucking broken into. So we went and checked every window, still locked from the inside, obviously. And so we were like, what is happening? Check the door, no signs of tampering. First thing we did, obviously, look for anything missing.
Right.
And so we went through everything that was valuable of ours, and nothing was missing. Went to the kitchen, and our knife block was missing some knives. And we were just like, what? Who would just come steal a couple knives and leave?
And obviously cut themselves.
And relock our doors and
Right.
relock our windows. Like, how does that happen? So we were just like, whatever, called the police. Police came. They gave us this line about, because it was above a jewelry store, obviously, but there were some rooftops adjacent, and they were saying, well, maybe someone broke in from the rooftops. They were like, just be safe and close or lock your windows. And we were just like, we did lock our windows. Nothing was stolen, but I mean, keep an eye out for this. I mean, this obviously bothers us, so we don't really like appreciate like giving us the shrug off there, but whatever. So we obviously just carried on with our life, but I told my dad about it. My dad was like, well, that's kind of weird. And we were like, what do you mean? And he said, did you do any research on your apartment? And I was like, no, should I have? I mean, I guess you kind of should. But
Yeah, but you're also needing a place to live.
yeah.
Really.
So that brings us to the article that I'm going to read. So the apartment was 132 South Allen Street in State College. Dana Bailey, 21, a senior health planning and administration manager, was found dead in her apartment on Thursday, March 5th, 1987, 4 days after I was born. During that year's spring break, she was found by her mother in her one-bedroom apartment above Crabtree's Jeweler on 132 South Allen Street. The Phillipsburg native...
Right where that's at.
Yeah. The Phillipsburg native was stabbed 6 to 7 times in the chest with a knife from her kitchen, according to the autopsy filed by coroner Robert Neff. She was found tied to a chair in her bedroom. Police believe the murderer entered Bailey's apartment through a kitchen window. Nothing of substantial value was taken from the apartment, ruling out robbery as a motive. Investigator Thomas Jordan, who had been working on the case from the start, had said the incident was classified as a sex-related or lust murder, but it did not mean that there was any sexual assault. State College police have been unable to develop enough evidence or information to establish probable cause to make an arrest. In my 31 years, there have been only 3 homicides in our jurisdiction. The only case still open is the Bailey homicide, Detective Williams said. It keeps getting tougher. We're as anxious as anybody to find the person or persons responsible and arrest them and bring them before the court. Now, I should mention that this article was written in 2006, so it's still a cold case. But this was all the way back then that this article was written.
What time of
And
year
you
did
live-
this happen to you?
This happened to us, I believe, in the fall,
And when did this occur?
in March,
Okay.
March 5th.
Okay, that's weird. When was this for you, year-wise?
First semester living there.
So, what year? Like, that was in 2000, that article was 2006.
Yeah,
You were when?
I believe it was 2006. I would have been 2009.
Okay, so not that long.
Or no, maybe it was 2007. Somewhere in that ballpark. Yeah, but not too long after. I mean, obviously they weren't running investigations at our apartment still,
Right.
because they had since 1987 to do their research. But I mean, some more on the case. It says Bailey had returned on Wednesday, March 4th, 1987, from visiting her fiance in Washington, D.C. She told her roommate, who was a friend from her hometown, that she was tired and didn't want to go to work at the Corner Room restaurant.
The corner room. Wow.
It's still there.
Yeah.
Her mother, Shirley, called the corner room and told her supervisor that her daughter would not be going to work. At 5:30 that night, she went to an exercise class on Beaver Avenue, 5 blocks from her apartment. When the class ended at 6:30, she returned to her apartment. At 8:30, she spoke with her fiance on the phone. The 3 other apartments on the floor were empty that night, and her roommate had gone home for the evening. The stabbing was reported at 3:04 in the next afternoon. And then just some notes from the police officers on the situation. It's a sensitive situation, a different kind of situation when a murder has not been solved and there's only one every couple of years. A behavioral profile of the murderer, an investigative tool used on suspects, was released by the FBI in February of 1989. The FBI profile said the killer stalked her from an abandoned building opposite the apartment. DNA fingerprinting found in the building belonged to a maintenance person who is not considered a suspect. Local media and student organizations were in an uproar then because it was believed the police did not receive enough or release enough information about the case, which would pose a threat to other local women. So after finding that information out, we were pretty much convinced that she was just like, hey, my case is still fucking open.
Yeah.
This is an unsolved murder and something needs to be done. And we were evidence enough of there not being enough seriousness taking place at this type of incident because the police came and left.
You almost wonder if the police knew about that and just maybe had experienced something before
Could have been.
and just blew it off because they knew.
Like maybe they have a post-it note behind
Yeah.
the monitors that says, if anyone
Yeah.
from this location
Right,
calls,
right.
treat it very carefully.
Yeah.
You know,
And there's been some, I mean, you can Google the address, you can Google Dana Bailey, but there's up to 2017 people are doing, I think Unsolved Mysteries was going to do an episode, or they did an episode on it. True Crime Guy, who does like a blog, has done it.
I'd be interested in knowing if anybody else who's rented that apartment.
I was thinking the same thing because we didn't have any other incidents since then, but that one was definitely one that has never left me.
That's a good story.
Yeah.
yeah, wow, that's way more intense than I thought that was originally going to go. I'm going to have to tell two now just to make up for it.
We can always drink more scotch.
That's true. We can. I'll go ahead and I'll share mine, I guess. And it's not even that in depth of an event, I guess. There's nothing like that. I don't know the year because I kind of probably maybe 2008, 2009 when my grandmother passed away. And it was kind of a mind job in the first place because I didn't want to be the guy that avoided his grandmother dying, but I was trying to avoid that happening. And my mom called me and she said, like, she's waiting for you. And I said, I know she is, and I don't want to do it. But I did it. You know, you have to. So I went down and I was, beside the bed and I had her by the hand and I'm like, you can go. Like, I'll make sure everyone's okay. And we left. We were back at Mom and Al's. And I don't know, it was like 11:30, 12 o'clock or so, the phone rang. It was the hospital. They said that she had left. And okay, great. Well, not great, but it's over. The weight's kind of lifted. The anticipation's over. And it wasn't this, the event for me, I don't know when it happened, year-wise, but there was a lot of times when I would come into the house and after I had left or moved out of the house, I would come in and I would lean in the hallway. I just stood in the hallway or whatever and talked to everybody because the kitchen and the dining room and the living room are all sort of interconnected. You can kind of get everybody in one shot. And I just happened, I don't know what made me look down the hall, but I saw her at the end of the hall wearing her nightgown that she would the nightgowns that she would always wear. And I kind of I went, Jesus Christ.
Jesus
I
Christ.
said, don't you fucking do that. And they're looking at me like, what? And I'm like, girl, you can't scare me like that. I said, we're fine. And then, because as soon as I looked away and looked back, she was gone, but I saw her at the end of the hall. And so I was kind of, that's like my only real,
You want to tell her about the cell phone a week after she passed? Not the cell phone, the house phone. Don't you remember that?
I don't remember this.
I know you were the last one before I deleted it, so I'll just start with you.
Okay.
The
This
same
is
thing.
fresh news to me again.
Oh, you were there because
Okay.
everybody heard it, but you were the last. Everybody's getting phone calls. It's just like you don't even pick up the phone anymore. You just leave it, go to voicemail, and see if somebody leaves a message. The recorder picks up. This is during the day, about a week after my mom passed away. and it was somebody selling something. I can't remember what it was, but the thing was, is the recorder then picked up and a voice played, and it was Carol's, and she started saying, "Hello, hello."
I do. Oh Christ!
Oh, look at that.
I'm getting the good. I do remember
That
that.
was like a week or two after she passed,
Yeah.
and it's a digital voice recorder, which they say you can only pick up.
Eh.
Goes- But the thing was, is this recorder has always been, as soon as
As soon as
Renee
digital
comes
broke-
home,
yeah.
the wife comes home, she listens to it, and if it's not important, she deletes it.
Yeah.
And this was already after the fact, and then all of a sudden, her voice is on it.
That's pretty amazing.
But I thought that was the one that you were going to say.
No, I totally forgot. Ugh, now I got to go fucking heebie-jeebies again.
Yeah.
But no, like I remember that they're like, "Hey, you need to listen to this." I said, "Listen to what?" And they hit play on the thing, and I remember just going, and they went, and I went, "No, yeah."
Yeah.
But real quick, let me share another one that I didn't know that I was about to share again. This isn't necessarily a ghost story or any kind of like, but I kind of do feel it was a spiritual kind of thing.
We should toast
Yeah,
To my mom.
you. To your mom.
the woman of many names.
Greek goddess.
Mm-hmm.
Eris.
Like I said, this isn't a ghost story, but I don't know if it could be. I don't think it's qualified as supernatural, but I did have an experience. And it's kind of silly to talk about, or to say it out loud, but like again, there's a few of us who take this stuff very seriously. And I was actually having a conversation with Nathaniel, and he had said, he's like, "That qualifies as an experience, man." He goes, that spoke to you. And I was like, "Yeah, it's kind of weird." I was watching the
Woody.
Yeah.
Okay.
watching the television show on history, Vikings, and it's in which I think is the third season, as Ragnar is about to die.
Great spoiler alert.
Fucking spoiler alert.
Read it. Shush, it's not a spoiler.
I didn't
You
know
what
that
happened.
ghost stories were going to require
Cliff
spoiler
notes. You
alert.
had to see the cliff notes on
It
it.
was
That's
right in
right.
Firefly before Wash died.
I'm a leaf on the wind.
The weirdest thing about this ghost story is Snape killed Dumbledore.
As Ragnar is about to die, Odin starts to visit the sons to alert them that their father has died, and each one of them in different parts of the world or
different
whatever,
places, yeah.
where the different places, they all get a vision of Odin, and at the very last, I believe it's Bjorn is the last one that gets to see him, and as Bjorn sees him, he blinks and he goes away, and at the exact same time, thunder strikes on the television. Thunder struck outside my house, shook the house, and I sat there with chills, and I went, "That was the coolest
That was the
thing
coolest thing ever."
So, like, I
Man,
don't...
they're upping their budget on this.
The special effects in this one kick ass. And I did. Like, I kind of had that moment.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really feel the deep connection to this. And since then, like, I've, really started to read up on the culture and, do some other things. And so it's kind of interesting to have that kind of moment
Scotch among friends.
with something that's totally unrelated, that I don't even have like a blood connection to, and to feel that kind of thing.
Yeah, man, but that culture was not necessarily linked by that through blood ties as much as cultural ties.
Right.
A lot of that shit gets a bad rap post World War II and all that stuff that where some certain folks made it all about that. But if you look at the culture as it existed in the time, that wasn't a prerequisite. It was about it was a cultural thing, not necessarily a blood thing.
Yeah. So yeah, that's that. Those are my stories. Like I said, I didn't have a whole lot. Like, I don't have a huge tie. Not. I'm the guy you have to force to believe.
Right.
Like, there's been a few times. I think you were there, as a matter of fact. The one time we had our work Christmas party.
He didn't believe in Christmas.
He doesn't.
I don't
It's
hear-
weird.
I don't hear the bell. We're at the U.S. Hotel, which is a major historical landmark in our town, and they offer ghost tours of the hotel. And as we're sitting there, having our work party,
That'd be cool.
we're sitting there talking, and the guy says, "Do you guys want to go upstairs?" And we were like, "Yes."
Yes. Yeah.
So a few of us, it took us up in two different groups, and I think I was with Jason.
We were.
And
cool.
I'm the one who goes upstairs, and they're like, "And this is the room where we hear things, and people have been hit with objects and whatever." And I'm like, "You're a puss."
You're like, bring it on.
I'm like, "Come on."
He has the Zach Bagans approach to it.
Yeah, like I'm the instigator because I always hold that air of whatever. Yeah, this doesn't happen to me. And this is even after I had the experience with Mama. Like it doesn't happen to me. Yeah. So I'm the instigator. Like I will egg stuff on. But I just haven't had that. I don't know if it's just if I'm too tough a nut to crack in that aspect, so to speak. But I do hold opinions of like there's just too many coincidences and too many things. Like you and I have had a conversation before that I was like, now that you say that, I totally agree with you. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get that story, but
you're not going to get that story. Yeah.
But it's just one of those. Yeah, we share a lot of different connections, but at the same time, on the surface level, it's a different experience for each of us.
Who wants to go next?
Do you want to finish?
I don't care. Sure.
Okay. Mine was at work. A little setup. I was down in Frostburg, Maryland. The company was an engineering company. Well, it still exists there. And I had to go down and service their engineering plotter. So this is a large machine. Every damn part is 3.5 feet wide. So it takes a while to service it. So I had to break it all down, clean the machine, put it all back together, service it, recalibrate it. It happened to be, and let me give you a little bit about the building. It's sort of centered in town. It's definitely one of the older buildings. And one of the neat things about my job is you get to see everything. I've been inside of prisons. I've been inside of museums. I've been
inside of prisons.
Have you ever been at a fire drill in a prison?
No, is that what they're called?
That is, yeah. There's nothing like a fire drill when everybody has to leave, walk out, turn around, and face the building, and you're the only one that does not say doc.
Wow.
Everybody else has DOC, and it's just like, okay. Yeah. But just to say all the different. So you go into different buildings, and you're trying to figure out the architecture and what the purpose was originally of a building. And this building is approximately 50 to 60 feet wide, probably 300 feet long. And the floor is the old thin slat wooden floors. Mm-hmm. So it's a really old building. And they're up on the second floor of the engineering firm. So I'm up there servicing the machine, finish up with the machine, and there's a nice large window at the second floor that looks out over Main Street and across over, I don't know if it's a park or whatever. But now that I'm done and the machine's up and operating, you start printing out these 36 by 40 plots, and you're testing the machine. So I'm just over there and just staring out the window, and it's like, oh, wow, that's beautiful. And the equipment, when it's done, it beeps 3 times. That way, the job is done. And as soon as the job finished, I turned because I was staring out the window and the machine's to the left. And I turn to go to the machine, and I feel a hand on my left hand. And I can see this is definitely a woman. It's thin wrist. I can see the fingernails, and she's wearing a light blue. I don't know how to describe the sweater, but it was a fluffy sweater. And I said, "Oh, pardon." I stepped back, and I looked, and there's nobody.
Wow.
So then I just rotate, and I'm staring out the window again, and there's nobody. It's just like, no.
Yeah.
Now the front part of the building that I'm in is the only thing is me and the machine. There's so much space. You have to go to open up the front, this one door. It's like an old gym divider. Mm-hmm. And then you go to the middle part, and that's where all the engineers are sitting that are doing the graphics. Get to that part, nobody. I look at my watch. It's 10 after 12. Everybody's at lunch. Go through that door, open up the next door, get to this office secretary, the receptionist, not there. Keep on walking down the hall, get to the end of the building, 300 feet away. Being an old building, it had a single bathroom, a common bathroom. So I'm looking at the offices that all the doors are open. There's nobody in the building, and I turn around and I'm looking right where I was standing, 300 feet on the other side of the building through the open doors. Okay, time to leave.
Yeah.
I just march my ass down there, grab my tools, start packing them up. Machine's working. I'm out of here. Get back in. The manager, I call him the manager, the key operator. He came in. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry about that. Everybody left for lunch. I could just run down the street and grab something really quick." And so, "Oh, I'm glad you're back. Machine's done. Do you want to send a test script? We'll confirm everything's the way you need it." And so he sends it over, and then we walk up, to the front. We're just saying, and it's just like, by the way, I've been coming here for years. This building, was it a dance hall? All this, the wooden floor and the ornate walls, and I'm trying to figure out, what was it used for? It's like, oh no, they sold furniture up here. It's like a furniture store on the second floor. Well, that's unique, but weird, I can see it. I mean, because there was a lot of the walls they were like convex, and they had built-in shelves. It's like, okay, I get it, but. So it's like 2 stories, and it's like no. The first story was that was not a morgue, but a funeral parlor. And it's like, what?
There you go.
It's like, yeah. He said it worked out really well because the people would come in for the funeral, and if there was any money, the funerals were long.
Yeah.
They would go upstairs and sit on these nice couches and spend all the inheritance on a nice couch. And it's just like, that makes great sense. And who in the heck died wearing a blue sweater?
Right,
okay, I gotta go. Bye.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it was as real as I'm doing this.
Yeah.
There was a hand I could definitely.
You'd see it.
Being a bartender, I guess her age probably 27 to 30 years old.
Okay.
And it was just like, yeah, that was mind blowing.
Funeral parlor.
Yeah, so the funeral parlor on the first floor. They sold furniture on the second floor. Now it's an engineering
It's
firm.
a very strange thing, though.
But obviously it worked back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. We got money.
Well, let's toast Al's story and the lady in the blue sweater.
Yes.
Toast
I
the
never
lady
wanted
in
to
the blue
research
sweater.
that, but yeah.
I don't know. My life's been very strange.
Let's.
Yeah. No. I'm not going to share too much because I just happened to. I grew up in one of those families where there's a lot of sensitive people, and it's through my mom's side, very sensitive people. My whole childhood was filled with weird shit, and like give an example of the kind of sensitivity that runs in the family. When I was a real young kid, I had an older cousin that was he was killed, hit by a car, and my mom went over to my aunt's house to be with the kids, and while she was over there, my grandmother, who lived away, who wasn't there, she called up, and while my mom was there, of course, my aunt had gone to the hospital with the ambulance, and my grandmother, who should have no idea of what the hell's going on, calls the house and says like, "Hey, what's up with my cousin?" And my mom, was like, "Oh, he's been hit by a car and blah blah blah." And then she didn't think of that in the moment, what the hell's going on. But then later on, she asked my grandmother, "Well, why did you call?" And she said that like, she actually said that she had looked out the bay window of her back window and saw my cousin in a skeletal figure in a robe walking through the backyard, and knew that wasn't a good thing. So she had called. But that's just the kind of thing that's been pretty normal in my family growing up. And so, I'm not going to I don't want to share anything like that because a lot of it's pretty personal and stuff like that. But I'll give you one that's a little more jovial. At least it makes me laugh every time I think about it. A little backstory to this story. My twice somebody had attempted to break into my home before this incident. And the first time,
I know this story.
I had to meet the guy. Yeah, I had to meet the guy at the back door with a gun, and it was a scene and all that shit. And
Wow.
So I'd been used to some people trying to break into my house, and this one night, it was a hot night. I remember it being a hot night. I was steadfastly asleep in bed, and my wife and I both woke up in bed at the same exact time and woke up. And what we heard was this sound. Very slowly. Sounded exactly like it was coming from the stairwell that goes upstairs. Definitely the sound of bipedal feet on the stairs, trotting very slowly and deliberately. Well, perhaps having been through that kind of situation before, I processed this very quickly, and I sat, bolt upright in bed. I thought, oh my God, somebody's in the house. Now, keep in mind the fact that at the time I had a 135-pound German Shepherd who was doing nothing at the time. So immediately in my brain, I immediately thought, there's somebody in the house and they've already taken care of the dog. Because I could not imagine my German Shepherd not doing anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If this person's at the stairs, it's bad, So I got up, and it was a hot night. Let's just say that I was sleeping in my birthday suit.
He is without a peril.
Right. I'm without a peril.
Free bird.
So
I mean, there is some peril.
there is some peril, buddy.
Let me go back and face the peril.
So I get up.
Is that the old man from Scene 24?
Yeah, I get up, and I don't have time to make it to the gun cabinet. Everything's locked up. I can hear these footsteps on my stairs coming up to the second floor. So I know I don't have much time. So I get up. The only thing that I had handy was I had this replica 10th century Viking sword, right? So I grabbed that thing and I sneaked down the hall, naked as a jaybird, right? So now there's a partition. There's a stairwell that comes upstairs, and right ahead of it's my bathroom. And then if you turn around the corner, there's a partition wall and a hallway that goes to my bedroom. So I quietly, because I think I'm not really, I'm armed, but I don't know what this guy has or whatever. So I'm thinking I want the element of surprise on my side, right? So I pretty quietly and hastily, it was pretty good, I thought, crept down the wall, and I'm standing on the other side of the partition holding this sword, right? My Viking sword, migration period sword, if you will, naked as can be, just standing there, and I'm listening to these footsteps plod up the stairs slowly but surely, not at any kind of fast pace, but just. And I'm standing there, and they're getting closer, and they're getting closer, and then they're getting closer. And I'm mentally preparing myself. I'm sitting there thinking holy shit, this is going to go down. The anxiety is through the roof. I'm thinking at any minute I am going to confront some intruder in my home. I don't know if it's going to go well. I might have to skewer somebody. I'm just, So at any rate, finally, the footsteps are right behind. I'm standing with my back to the wall, the partition, and the stairs are right on the other side now. And the footsteps get to the top of the stairs. And I'm mentally preparing myself. This is it. This is it. In any second, it's going to happen. And then all of a sudden, it just stops. And there's this really long pause. So I stood there for, I don't know, it felt like an eternity. It couldn't have really been that long. But I'm standing there. I'm looking at my wife down the hall. I don't know what's going on. So then all of a sudden it processes. Well, they stopped. So they know I'm here. I'm in my mind, they've stopped because they know I'm on the other side. And I'm thinking in my mind, you're going to lose the element of surprise. You're going, you need to just do this. You need to go, right? So I'm sure it must have been a horrible sight.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, I just turned the corner with a yell.
There you go. That's what I was wondering.
I'm ready to skewer some son of a bitch and send him right down the stairs. And I turn around and I yell and I'm ready to go. And there is absolutely nothing there. Except at the bottom of the stairs is my German Shepherd looking up the stairs with the most confused look I've ever seen on his face. And I know it wasn't him coming up the stairs, first of all, because these are human bipedal footprints. And I know the sound of my dog on the stairs. It wasn't him.
Clickety clack.
Yeah, it's clickety clack, right? And so I'm looking at him and he's looking at me. And I swear to God, the five was just like, what the fuck? Because he knew there was something on the stairs too. And I knew there was something on the stairs. But both of us were just like, I got no idea.
He just turned the corner in his birthday suit.
right. So, I mean, I'm sure because the thought of me turning the corner naked, screaming, holding a sword, well, this would be funny to some people. I know it's funny to me. That's the one I'll choose to tell.
Toast it. Absolutely. To your
The naked swordsman.
swordsman. If we have time, I have a couple ghost stories from one of our patron members.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I got a few myself. So.
Okay, so the aforementioned Shannon has had some run-ins with the ethereal, I guess we can call him.
Mm-hmm.
Her cousin Laura has. Was that right? Yeah, Laura, I did it. Perfect. They own a home that is pretty well convinced is haunted. But there's this weird dichotomy in that the haunting rarely happens when the homeowners are home. It's when they're away. There's not a whole lot of backstory on the house. Now, again, this is kind of like me retelling someone else's story, so if I get some parts of it wrong, I apologize. But she said the backstory in the house was, I guess there was an older gentleman that had lived there and was pretty abusive or whatever. Not a whole lot is known about the history of the house. But there was a barn, I believe, was on the property, and in the barn there was an old homemade kitchen table and a butcher block with legs. So they had them in the barn, but they ended up removing them and bringing the butcher block into the garage, the table into the house. So they believe that that's some kind of connection to the paranormal, or those two items. So the first incident was Shannon was visiting it. She was staying with her cousin, and she walked in, and as soon as she walked in the house, her cousin wasn't there, and she felt like something was pushing on her chest the entire time she was there. So, like, just imagine the pressure on your chest. Mm-hmm. Not choking or anything like that, but just a pressure on your chest.
Heavy feeling.
Yeah, and when she was there, she heard someone walking down the hall, but it was just her and the dog in the house, and the dog was with her, and the dog noticed the steps too. So they did the kind of the whole dog head cock thing, and the dog laid in the hallway and was facing the noise. And then as soon as Laura got home, the pressure vanished from her, and then everyone went to bed. She went to sleep on the couch. Shannon went to sleep on the couch, and as soon as she was trying to fall asleep, she heard something shifting in the kitchen, and she could see the table from the couch. And she saw the chair slide about 2 inches, and she booked it outside.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. So,
Shit.
So the butcher block came from the same barn, and they kept that one in the garage. And they found out if the top part was separated from the legs, that the door between the garage and the basement would open and close even if it was locked. So if the two were connected, no issues. But if they were separated, then the door, you could lock it and do whatever, but it wouldn't matter. It would always become ajar. That door would always be open.
Wow.
And her husband, his dad, and his grandfather were firefighters, and they kept their helmets in the garage. And one of the days, while the butcher block was separated from the legs, she was upstairs and heard the door slam in her garage and went outside, and all of the helmets were thrown about 12 feet from the walls that they were hooked on.
Wow.
Yeah. And then this is the last one. It's a short one.
Hold on, we got to toast that story.
Okay.
Never mess with your butcher block.
That's right. Dan
So-
needs more whiskey.
Same individual, Laura. She found out her best friend had brain cancer.
We need to quit hanging out with Laura.
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 I'm sorry.
And it pretty much consumed her entire brain. So she only lived 4 months after she found out she had cancer.
Jesus.
So Laura was up cleaning her kitchen and went to dump the water from the bucket into the bathtub. And when she walked back towards the kitchen, she looked down the stairs, and on the first landing, leaning against the front door, was one of her kitchen chairs, which obviously wasn't there before. So down 5 steps, leaning against the door, she heard her friends laugh, and then about 40 minutes later, her mom's friend called and told her that she'd passed about 30 minutes ago.
Wow.
That's
So those are those ones.
that's creepy.
To Laura.
Yeah.
I want to share something real quick. I don't know that it's ever been chalked up to a ghost experience or any kind of supernatural
We
experience.
can open up the floor.
But like, I get feelings
Knocked down. Oh.
every once in a while where it's almost like a debilitating feeling where I'll walk into a room and I get the feeling like you should not be in here.
Mm.
You need to get out.
You should
And it's
listen
one
to
of those, like,
Fixes.
all of a sudden, like, you feel like your body it's like shocking you, like, get out of this room.
Mhm.
And I've had it several times over the course of my life, but one of the weirdest places that I ever had it was, which is now the bathroom under the stairs at work. Before it was the bathroom,
Oh, I thought you
it
were gonna
used to
say
be just a
your house.
changing
Okay.
room for the western side. And I got it a few times in that room.
Uh-huh.
And that's
That
really,
room's a little weird.
and that's the last place. But ever since it has become a bathroom, I've never had that.
I've been in the
experience.
store at night closing up, and at that there's some weird energy over there.
Yeah, so I don't know, but we built that building.
Right.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so there's, as far as I know, I will have to.
What's across the street from where we work?
Something good.
It's
something good.
Walmart. You're thinking of
Well,
Walmart.
yeah, Walmart. I didn't even think about that. That's a good. Yeah,
There's a cemetery
next
across
door.
the street. Yeah.
People are dying to get in.
Yes, they are.
That's why they put a fence around them.
That's right.
Because people are dying to get in.
So yeah, it's just, and I get that every once in a while. It's not an all the time thing. I don't want to say like I'm super sensitive because I don't.
We've heard weird noises in there too.
I've
It's
had.
not just me playing jazz.
Speaking of
Wait a
jazz,
minute. Speaking of jet, yeah,
Hey Shelby, what's up, girl?
I had that
Shout out to
seriously,
Shelby.
very, very intensely one time heading on. I'm trying to think the route number from Somerset to Bedford, driving past a farm that I had to get away from that farm as fast as possible. It was just an odd thing, and I drove that road. I don't know how many times, probably at least 50. But there was one day where I just looked to the left and I saw the farmhouse, and I had to just get away from it.
Yeah.
It's intense.
Yeah.
I have a few quick stories here as well.
These are listener stories.
These are listener stories. I'm not going to name drop any names just because for the fact that some of them do hold higher positions. And
Walmart readers. Higher than what I do.
This,
I don't
this
know.
story comes from one of our listeners who has definitely giant
job?
hands. His hands are huge.
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 We don't want to say his name, but he's Resident Rump, we'll call him.
As a matter of fact, he's here tonight. Prez, come on in. So I'm just going to start reading it. This is from one of our listeners. They say, so UPJ, which is a local campus, college campus in our area, UPJ has a lot of ghost stories behind it. In particular, the soccer field is rumored to be an old burial ground for Native Americans.
Isn't it always a Native
Yeah.
American
I saw a
burial?
movie one time called
Yeah,
Paradise.
right.
So
Maybe we should stop killing the Native Americans.
Right.
In the
You know, they
At
are
least
good.
find a
I heard
different
they're
place
good
to
people.
bury them.
Yeah.
So
shit on everything.
we shit on everything, dude.
So when I used to have to park behind Krebs Hall, I had to walk across campus. I was leaving the bookstore one night and I had to cut across the campus to get there. So the parking lot isn't too far away from the soccer fields. They aren't close, but they're not far either. I was walking back to my car and I kept hearing drumming. And yeah, Richland High wasn't too far away, but it wasn't band season. And I know what marching band drums sound like. Nobody is around, and if someone were playing bongos, I feel like I would have seen them. But it sounded like how Penzic does which for those of you who don't know,
Pennsic.
Pennsic
Is this a Scadian who's telling you this story?
no.
What's a ski?
An SCA person.
Oh.
No.
Sorry.
Is
don't
it
know.
PENNSIC?
Yes, and Pennsic
Yeah,
Wars. Yes.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I want to go there.
Yeah. Oh, so this is from a Scadian. This is awesome.
But it sounded like how Pennsic does when you're hearing drums from so many locations, you don't know where they're from. But the road I was on connects the commuter lot I was parked in to the soccer fields, and when I got to the lot, the drums sounded like they came closer, but I couldn't see anyone, and then they got muffled like they were walking away, and they were gone. But there's rumored to be some more burial grounds at UPJ aside from the family from the 1800s that have their graves there, markers and all. But I just know the spot I was closest to was rumored to be of the burial ground location, and I definitely heard drums at intervals and sounds that should have been someone playing, but and walking at the same time. And that's the end of her story.
You know, the racks to Petit are pretty freaky.
The
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
roads
you're
of
right.
unusual size.
So let's toast the Scadian. That's awesome.
Cheers to drums.
That's right.
Okay, where is she? There we go. Oh, there it is.
This Halloween dead air.
Yes.
Oh.
Hey, I don't need to be anonymous, but I don't want to give away.
Did you say enormous?
He said, I think he said,
Anonymous.
Oh.
oh.
Enunciate.
Okay, this
Put,
was
put enormous in there.
this
Enormous.
was from Whisketeer Shauna Bracken.
She's probably
That's not anonymous.
Well, no, she didn't want to post it on the Facebook page. To give it
Oh.
away.
Oh.
So she sent it in a message.
Oh, now I feel bad. Sorry, Nah.
When I was a kid, before my sister was born, I slept by myself in a bedroom across the hall from my parents in our old house. Every night, I would hear a voice that wasn't either of my parents. I would hear a voice that wasn't either of my parents say my name. I can't remember what I talked about with it anymore, but it was just a voice that would talk to me every night. No apparition, no weird smells, no coldness. After I went to bed and the house was quiet. The last time I had heard it, it was after my sister was born, and I yelled for my mom to come and hear it so she would finally believe me. Of course, when she got there was no voice, and she blamed it on the old metal radiators or the cat making noise. But it definitely wasn't either of those things. Like I said, I never saw anything, but when my parents switched our bedrooms, they put me and my sister in their old room because it was bigger. My sister used to cry and refuse to go to bed at night because she said she would wake up to a strange old lady sitting on her bed watching her sleep. My parents bought our house from my dad's great uncle John and his great aunt Grace, who had always wanted children but never could conceive. We've always chalked it up to Aunt Grace, excited to finally have kids in the house. The second one also happened when I was a kid. My parents and my mom's brothers were helping my mom and my mom tear down their old house after Uncle Barry bought her a double wide to put on the property. I was wandering through the house trying to find my mom, and I walked out of the closet of one room. I think they had torn the wall out, and I cut through it into the next, where there was a dude sitting on a stool reading a newspaper. I never thought much of it at the time, just figured he was someone the adults knew and kept walking. They didn't know him, though. When I asked my mom, and she said it was Charlie, the resident spirit, air quotes, who got blamed for everything off around the house. There's a lot of stories from lots of people about Charlie and the house in general throughout the years. Our neighbors and family friend Shannon said she saw an old man sitting in the rafters one time waving at her. My mom and her cousins held a seance once where a wig fell onto someone's arm and wouldn't come off. That's kind of creepy.
That is creepy,
Especially if nobody had a wig.
And in the same,
Right.
and in the same seance, a knife supposedly spun on its own and pointed directly at one of my mom's cousins. Supposedly, the house was one of the oldest ones left in Vinco at the time we pulled it down. And there was a story, true or not, I don't know, but a man being shot in the basement and buried on the property somewhere. All I know is that the weird stuff didn't stop when the house was torn down. There was a black shadow everyone saw at some point or another in the master bedroom of the new house. And things always sounded like they were falling out of the cupboards, only for nothing to be out of place when the sound was investigated. My grandmother since passed, and new families live in her house, but I'm willing to bet the weird stuff hasn't stopped. And that's the end of that.
So that was from Shauna.
Yeah, that was from Sean.
Let's toast to Shauna. Thanks for sharing your story.
Thanks,
Nah.
Mom.
That's awesome.
So,
Yeah, I'm actually running low on edible underwear, so
Don't worry, I got extra.
Gross.
We got you.
Okay.
So I think that that officially puts a cap on our Halloween or ghost story discussion.
That's awesome.
If does anyone else have anything that they want?
There was one other thing I wanted to bring up. It was just something sort of personal to me. Somebody that really affected me in my youth. It passed away recently, and not to commemorate, but there was Fred Rogers during an acceptance speech in 1997 for a Lifetime Achievement Award. He got on stage and he asked everybody just for 10 seconds of silence for everybody to reflect, to think about who affected them in their youth, who developed them, who brought the ideals forward of they could to nurture them to who they are. And I would like to do that right now if I could, just to say to give us 10 seconds of silence and pause and think about all the people who affected us like that to make us who we are today.
Is there anyone in particular that you would like to commemorate?
Well, this would be for his new title. Well, it was very Reverend Father Daniel O'Neill, who was from when I was clear back in the days of St. Joseph's Catholic school in Portage, Pennsylvania. That there weren't that many of us in Catholic school, but nevertheless, his years of tenure throughout every parish that he went through.
One of the good ones.
Yes.
It's nice every once in a while to hear a story about one of the good ones.
Yes. Yes, it is very refreshing.
So let's do that now.
Yes.
Very cool.
That's toast
Cheers.
as well. Cheers.
So let's that is so good. Let's
You know, the more I drink, the better I like it.
It's kind of like us.
Oh, yeah.
The more we drink, the better people like us.
Yeah.
Let's close this show down the way we close it down every time, 35 episodes deep from day one to now. With the What Are You Listening To This Week, instituted by the handsome man himself, Michael J. Covino. This basically gives you a little insight into our lives as far as what we're listening to. And we kind of created this awesome little playlist on Spotify. If you search The Wednesday Night Whiskey Committee on Spotify, it will pop up, I assure you. Hit the like button. We're updating it every week. It's really kind of cool. Who wants to go first? Anybody?
Yes, man.
Jason?
Guess.
Guess.
Okay,
Alex,
guess man.
Alex
Yes.
Gordon.
Four, baby.
Fourth horseman himself.
Now, honestly, since the back porch is shut down, the Zoom player, yeah, that's how old I am, does not go outside, and I do not really listen to a whole lot of music at work.
Right.
And on the way down here tonight, a song came into my head, and I know why, because of the time of the year. It's the Queensryche Empire from the Empire album.
Mhm.
The This time of year is usually when I'd be bowling in fall leagues, and that particular song, somebody came back from there. I used to bowl quite frequently. I've been at probably 15 years. I was in leagues, and somebody came back from states and said, you know, one of the things you need to do is your tempo. And it's like, I got everything down as far as, you know, how I have to set myself and square my shoulders and whatnot. No, your tempo. You need a song to start in your head. As soon as you get up there on a platform, grab your ball, you need a tempo to make sure your last part of your rhythm is always the same. You know, with golf, you have to keep your swing identical. You just change clubs.
Right.
You bowl, you do the same thing. You just move boards. You always keep your spot the same, but your tempo has to be the same. And Empire is a song I would sing myself when I would go up and grab the ball and start in my set position and do my routine, square the shoulders, pull my elbow in, set the ball to my right, and start singing the song, and then walk through. Yeah, it was just that time of year that it was just like, yeah, it started, the song started in my head, and it's like, that's it. Yeah.
So Empire is also the song?
Yes, Empire from the Empire album.
The title track.
Yes, the title track. Fourth song in it. I don't know.
What do you got, buddy?
Well, I'm going to try to slip one in.
Whoa,
I
from
know that game.
Yeah, I know.
I haven't had enough. Sorry.
Spotify won't let me listen to Samhain.
That's true.
So even though the Wednesday Night Whiskey Committee playlist is awesome,
It'd be better with some sound.
better with some sound.
That's true.
So what I'm going to do is, it is indeed today, Samhain. So my pick of the week is Samhain, Halloween 2. But there are Misfits on Spotify.
Yes.
And they did a version of the song pre-Samhain. So if you can find the Misfits version of Halloween 2. I believe 2 weeks ago, my pick was the Misfits Halloween. This week, it's Halloween 2. So, but
Dose of those babies.
I would really wish it to be the Samhain version because it is superior. But if you can only find the Misfits version, put that on.
Fair enough.
Fuck you, Spotify.
And we've just been banned.
Ban hammer.
The Shanna band. This week, I've been listening to a lot of different things, and I was kind of torn which one to choose. But ultimately, it comes down to what I've been listening to most in my car, which this week has been Coheed and Cambria, really reconnecting with a few of the older albums. And one of my favorite songs comes off of the In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3 record. And it's the third track of a mini trilogy within the concept of the mythos, which is from the Valorium Camper, which is Al the Killer.
Al the Killer?
Al the Killer?
No,
that can't be right.
Quick.
Not only did you get to say Al the Killer, but you got to use the word mythos in
Yes.
your what are you listening to?
Yeah.
I'm envious.
So, just a quick little blurb about it. It was based off of somebody in Claudio Sanchez's life, who was in the story. Al the Killer is a black man who hates white women and kills them.
Okay.
So he apparently knew somebody in his family that it was based off of a true character. In the story, the line is "Die white girls, die white girls."
I thought it was Body Waddy Girls.
That's Rick's version,
Yeah.
Body Waddy Girls. But no, so die white girls.
Awesome.
Mike,
I have a nice little transition.
Oh.
So this
Are you going to segue?
Yeah, I'm going to segue. So I've mentioned,
love
I don't remember if I
segues.
mentioned it on the cast, but I've definitely told these guys about it. But I'm in a group text with a bunch of my close friends, and we do a list every day. And it's various things. It could be top ice cream flavors. It could be top movies, things like that. But we do a list every day. Someone sets up the list, and then we just do our top X
Top
of
brands
this.
of edible underwear.
Exactly.
Right.
There's only one. I use Sherman's edible underwear. This episode brought to you by Sherman's.
Here's the Shermans.
I need more whiskey for that. Oh, you got some.
So Brian Fresh, Whisketeer, he for this week days ago picked for his list top concept albums.
Ooh.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
a heady
It
list,
was,
man.
and not only that, but he did top 7.
Oh,
So-
Oh,
That
damn.
one took me a little while.
can we
to do.
steal that for the show?
I know. I think that's
I
next
know.
week's topic.
And I'm willing to give you my list if you want to hear it.
No.
No, I think that's show material.
Yeah,
right
I
there.
don't want. If it's going to be on the show, no, I don't want to know your list.
I seriously-
I'll take
I think-
one of your picks.
I think Brian Fresh has just created a show
Well,
topic.
Well, you've heard one of them, but that's not the one I'm going to use because
Okay.
Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth 3 was on my list because it's a
Well, how could
fantastic
it not be?
album. But the Opeth album, My Arms Your
Oh.
Hearse, which the album Still Life was on everybody else's list because that album's phenomenal. But My Arms Your Hearse has one of my favorite Opeth tracks of all time. And I don't know how many times I've put Opeth on our playlist. I have a
Not
feeling
enough.
this might be number 3. And I apologize if you don't dig Opeth, but
There you
yeah, I don't
Too
at
bad.
all. Yeah. The song When.
When.
Yeah, WHEN. I believe it's the 4th track on that album is one of my favorite Opeth albums or tracks of all time. And I would choose that one for what am I listening to, but I think we should do that list. It's a pretty groovy list.
I think
Are
that's
we
a
doing,
show
Are
topic.
we doing top 7?
Why don't we
right,
do top 10? Because I already have
Oh, he went more.
I'm actually
I have
all
10
over this.
already.
So do I. Like I'm just rattling them off.
Yeah,
This
I
is
got 'em.
fantastic.
got him.
So
We
I
can
think,
do it right now.
I think
Yeah, let's
next
not.
week, episode 36, will be top 10 concept records.
Hey, can I throw one more thing in while we're listening?
Absolutely.
Shameless self-promotional plug. If any of our listeners are in the Pittsburgh area
Ooh, yes.
and you're around Friday, come out to the Subalpine Club in Turtle Creek where my band's playing a metal festival there.
No way.
Yeah, so, I mean, if anybody wants to come, I looked at the list. I listened to some of the bands that we're going to be sharing the stage with. They're all really amazing. I'm just really thankful to be doing this. So if you're in the area and you're not doing anything Friday, man, stop by.
This coming Friday?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Excellent.
Roger.
The Subalpine Metal Festival.
And I'll do that plug that I did at the beginning again just because YouTube was having some difficulties. So if you're
It is in the show notes.
coming back watching the video, Extra Life's doing their charity streams this weekend. It should be all over Twitch.
Yes.
I know a good friend of the show, Nathan Preda, may be involved with one
Who?
in San Francisco. Yeah, that same
that
Nathan.
guy.
But there's one going on in our very little town here in Altoona, Pennsylvania at the Altoona Grand Hotel. 24-hour game day, hosted by the Gearbox Union, benefiting the Children's Miracle Network hospitals in Pittsburgh. So we'll throw a link to the donation page, but if you're free on Saturday, go check it out.
Very cool. Well, guys, that officially,
Affectionately.
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 Oh.
That's racist.
Sherman underwear.
Aussie.
Edible.
Yeah,
Sherman
Sherman-
edible
let's toast to Sherman's
Sherman
edible underwear.
edible
Sherman
underwear.
edible underwear.
Oh, dude.
I prefer the boysenberry.
Yes. They're my best.
that effectively and awkwardly puts a cork in this week's episode. We want to thank the Whisketeers for tuning in again this week. Those of you watching live right now on our YouTube channel, thank you
From day.
from day 1 to day 304.
He's got it.
He
You thought
I didn't. I knew. I knew, buddy. I knew.
We greatly, I know we say it every week, and I know I say that phrase every week as well, but we really do appreciate everyone who chimes in, everyone who drops us a line.
That's part of the drinking rules. Every time you say the day, they have to drink.
That's
Oh.
true. So you're up to 304 drinks if you haven't been paying attention.
Right? You got to catch up.
You fuckers. I love you.
Whoa.
We earn the E, that's fine.
Fuckers.
Fuck.
Spell.
What? I'm Jay.
I am Michael.
I am Jason.
I'm laughing too hard.
And we are the Wednesday Night Whiskey Committee. Please, for the love of God, listen responsibly.
Good
Yay,
episode.
I gotta pee so bad.
That was a lot of fun. Come on, let's do it again.
Yeah, let's do it again. That's
Yeah, there's some whiskey in that glass. Oh,
I would change my rating now.
I'm not even. We can still do it. The camera's still rolling.
Nope. Nope, no, I'm good.
Oh, back, I want to die.
Oh, Mike, I feel bad for you, dude.
It'd be cool if you could just stab a knife into my spine.
I can do
No.
that. I mean, hey, if you
No,
really
no,
want
no,
to,
no, no.
If you don't mind, I don't mind.
We can.
But
search
I'll tell
it.
you what. Tell them don't use the Amish needles. They're square. Tell them
Right.
to try
You
using one
should
of
have done that.
The round
Yeah.
ones.
I looked again. I looked at the needle going into my spine.
the.
I should stop doing
No.
that.
Were you watching on camera? Or-
Jeez.
No, I just watched him push it over. I watched him bring it over, and then I felt it slide right in.
Oh, I hate needles. There's
Are you
Few
still on
things
the
in life I hate.
steroid? It's the anti-inflammatory.
I hate needles.
Yeah, they didn't numb it or anything.
See what my buddy does now. He's past that. He just goes straight to nerve blocker, and that seems to help him.
Yeah, well, I'll find out on my follow-up if they're going to do surgery or not. See
Yeah.
if this works.
Are we still on air?
Yeah,
I think we are.
yeah.
We shouldn't. I shouldn't do this on air, but I'm gonna be careful about that. I've never known anybody that had back surgery that came out better on the other end.
Janet did.
Okay,
She had the same thing I had.
Janet did.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, she's going to the gym now and all that.
Okay. All right.
She's the only one I know that's ever had back surgery.
You okay?
Yeah, I almost didn't make it. There was a few times there where I kept thinking like, oh, we got to end this. We got to end this. The back teeth are floating. So that's awkward. We're still rolling. Hi.
Jay almost peed himself.
For the
Fake
fourth
news.
time.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
So-
sorry.
Today.
Hi. Fun show, guys. Thanks.
Who was that?
That's from Alex Garten.
Oh,
What?
Yeah, we're
What?
sure you like
I got a ghost story. Remember that time we were doing the show with Al Scarton
And he
I
was right
wasn't
here. Oh, wait. What?
Okay. All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks.
Did you post Shannon's link to her donation page? The one that
I copied yours from your page.
So you